Hey everybody, and welcome to another Cricut Craft tutorial. Before we get started, be sure to sign up for my newsletter over at CorinneBlackstone.com. That way you don't miss out on any fun things happening in the future. In today's video, we are going to go over some really fun things using the products from the mystery box. Now don't worry if you didn't get a mystery box. I'll list all the products we used down below in the description. I'm going to show you in Silhouette Studio how to make your own full wrap template for any cup, but we're going to use the cool color changing cup that we got in our mystery box to make a full wrap. I didn't want to kind of give away what the wrap was going to look like right away for you guys, so I'm really excited to show you how to do this. It's super fun and super easy, but don't worry if you don't have Silhouette Studio. I'm going to go ahead and link below where you can grab the wrap and the design that we're going to do for completely free from my website, so be sure to grab it there if you don't have Silhouette Studio. You'll be able to make your own style wraps with the wrap template that I'm going to include for you guys. So let's get started. I'm so excited to show you how to do this. Before we get started, you will need a couple of supplies to do this. So you'll need your cup that you got in your mystery box, piece of paper and a pen, some tape, and some sort of string that doesn't stretch. I found that the non-stretching kind works best. This is just like 75 cents or something at like the local craft stores most of the time. So this is just really thin ribbon. We're gonna need to take a couple of measurements, and you'll also want some sort of ruler. I'm using this little ruler that's built into this little mat here because I think it'll be really easy for you guys to see it and read it, hopefully. So what we'll do first is we're gonna take our ribbon. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of tape and my ribbon, and I'm going to tape my ribbon just under the lip. So you're just a little bit below the lip of your cup. Then what I'm doing is wrapping my ribbon around my cup until it meets up with the ribbon around the other side. And then all you want to do is figure out where they meet up. And again, you want to use a non-stretchy. The stretchy did not work very well for this. You want to cut them right where they meet up. That's how we're going to do our first measurement. So I'm going to leave the tape on him, and I'll just tape him up here. Then we need to do around the bottom. So we'll do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and take a piece of tape. I just found, again, the tape just made it easier for me. Not a necessity, but definitely helpful for me. And then I want to just make sure I tape this right where I want my bottom to sit. And I'm going to wrap my ribbon around the bottom. And you want to make sure you don't have it twisted anywhere. You want a nice flat lay on here. So once you've got those lined up, again, we're going to just trim that off right where they meet. We're going to get one more measurement while we are here. And this one you don't necessarily have to do with the ribbon, but it is helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my ribbon. And this one I can do by just using my fingers. I don't typically tape it. You can if you'd like to, but all I'm going to do is just mark my ribbon right where it meets the bottom of my cup here. And again, I'm just going to trim that off. So these are the 3 ribbons that we need to measure. So we have the one that goes around our top. So what I'm going to do is, and you can use the tape, this is where the tape's kind of helpful, is you can tape your ribbon nice and straight onto your 0, right there, and then you just want to kind of pull it along and find out where she ends up. She ends up at about 11 3/16, so we'll go with that. So you want to write that measurement down. So that's our top one. Then this one is the bottom. So again, we'll do the same thing, and that's where the tape again comes in handy. So I'm going to tape my ribbon down, make sure it's lined up, and then I'm just going to pull this over, and this is almost exactly 8. And then the last measurement we have is how tall is our cup. So again, you could put tape on here if you want, but this one's a little bit short, so I think it'll be okay. It should be about 6.25 when I measured this earlier, and it's actually a little bit shorter than what I measured when I did this the first time, so that's okay. That measurement wasn't fully accurate, so I'm going to say that it's probably 6 3/16. Now that you have those 3 measurements, we're going to take these over, and you can see, wrote them down. We'll take these over to the computer, and I want to thank Carly Hall for turning me on to this website because I cannot math. So we're going to go to, first we're going to figure out what the percentages is because I'm terrible at that, and then we will go to the website, and I'll show you guys that part. So upon Googling it, 3/16 is 0.1875. So just for future reference, you can just Google like your fraction in decimal form. I'm just really bad at that. So keeping that in mind, let's go ahead and enter our data. So this is the website that you want to go to. I will link this down below, but this is where it's going to give us our circumference and all the information that we need to know about our wrap that we want to do. So we'll start first with the top of our cup, which we know is 11.1875. So what you'll need to write down is the diameter right here at the top, and that is going to be 3.56. You just need up to the second decimal. Anything more just is too much. You don't need it. Then we need to do the circumference around the bottom, which was just an even 8. So that is going to be 2.54, and you can round up to 5.5. So just make sure you write down all of that, and then we're going to go into Silhouette Studio. To do this, you are going to need the Silhouette Studio Business Edition, but I am going to put the free template down in my website for you guys to download, just in case you don't have this. But a couple of you requested that I do a tutorial in the Silhouette Studio to show you guys how to do this. So here is a fun Silhouette Studio thing that we can do. It's really easy and really, really fun. So what we're going to do is open a rectangle. Just click on the drawing tool, which is over on the left-hand side. It looks like a little rectangle. You want to pick the first box because that's your rectangle. And then you can just draw a rectangle any size. It doesn't matter because we need to change the size up at the top. So you're going to make the size, you're going to do 11.1875 for the width, and the height is going to be the height of the cup, which was 6.1875. That is going to be where our wrap starts for our conical wrap. Once you have your little rectangle, you're going to go over to the wrap function, which is down in the right hand side, 3 up from the bottom, and it's called the wrap panel. Go ahead and click on that and make sure that you have your rectangle selected, and we're going to have it warp them. But you need to make sure that you have this one that looks like a cup selected, and we're going to tell it to conical wrap selected shapes. This is where those little numbers that we did come in handy. So remember I told you we needed to make sure we noted what the top measurement was and what the bottom measurement was. So what we're going to do is tell it that our top measurement was 3.56 across, and then we need to let it know that our bottom measurement is 2.55. Now that should look quite a bit like the cup of which you have. If you want to just double check anything, feel free, and then you need to make sure that you change the height to the height of your cup, which was 6.1875. Your cups should be the same size if you're using the cup from the mystery box. If not, just measure your cup in the same way and do all of these steps, but with your cup's measurements. So you can see here now we have this handy dandy little wrap. Super easy, but now all you need to do is click apply. Once you hit apply, your little cup should be good to go. You can go ahead and close the wrap section. Now, I personally like to fill in my shape, so I'm just going to go to the little fill panel, which looks like an artist palette, and pick a color. It doesn't really matter what color you choose. I'm going to go ahead and get my little selection tool, and I am going to import the leopard print that we are going to use for this because it's really, really fun. So what I'm going to do is go to File, and I'm going to click Open, and I'm going to find my leopard print wherever I have put it, and I'm going to make sure that I open the leopard print SVG, which may look like a HTML document, but that is your SVG. Now, I'm probably doing this wrong, but it still works this way, so it's fine, but it opens it in another frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select these and click copy, but I want to make sure that I have both pieces. So I'm going to select them and click copy, and then I'm going to go back over at the top here. You have a little tab, and then I'm going to click paste. Now it might take a second to paste them, but we're going to get them pasted. And then I'm going to make them bigger because they're a little short and a little bit small for the way I want this to look. So just grab the corner and size them out, however big you want them. There's no wrong way to do whatever pattern you're doing. So if you want bigger pattern or smaller pattern, that's up to you. That is your choice, and there's no really wrong way to do it. So what we'll need to do now is to slice out the pattern from the wrap here. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to move this off to the side really quick, and I want to select the wrap, and I'm going to actually duplicate it twice. I'm going to duplicate it twice, so one, that I don't lose this wrap, and two, because I need two of them in order to make this wrap fit. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I want to get them lined up. You can do this a couple ways, but I'm going to select both of the two wraps here, and then there is an align tool. Right here, you can see this little like crosshair. Just click that and it centers them completely. So they're nice and straight and even, and that's what we want. Now I can go ahead and move these to the back, just like you do in Cricut Design Space, by using these little buttons. I'm going to send them so they're behind our leopard. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide our leopard over. Now you can see there's two pieces to our leopard print, so you want to make sure that you grab both. I'm going to go ahead and undo what I just did so that they're still lined up. I'm going to grab both of them just by drawing a square around them and pulling them into our wrap. Now, depending on, again, kind of how you want it to look, so it's all up to you where you want it to slice. You kind of position this wherever you want them. Then we need to open up the Modify panel, which is over on the right-hand side, and it looks like a square and a circle kind of cut out of each other. And now what we'll need to do is select one part of our leopard and one of our conical wraps. So what I do is I, again, really just like to use the move to the back thing because I find that to be a little bit easier for me, and that's just me. I mean, it's up to you, whatever works best for you, but I'm going to make sure that I have selected my one piece of my leopard and one of my wraps, and then all I'm going to do is click crop. That's basically like using slice in Cricut Design Space, but instead of Cricut Design Space leaving you with a bunch of extra parts, this just makes it fit into your shape. So now what I want to do is click on the word make a compound path. So see the word make, you click on that, and that is going to keep all of your black leopard spots together. Then what I want to do is select my bluish colored, my teal. I hold shift on my keyboard and I select the conical wrap that we did, or the warp if you will, and then I'm going to go ahead and click crop again because I need to crop out that teal color from the wrap as well. Once you've done that, you're going to click make, and that is going to keep your leopard print as one piece again, and you're good to go. Check that out. You've got one piece and two piece, and this is going to be our wrap. Now, I have not cut this vinyl with the silhouette, so I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess it up. I only have the one sheet. But you can absolutely just go ahead and cut this. You don't need to cut this part. You'll just need to cut your leopard print. But I wanted to show you guys how to make a wrap, and you can do this with any kind of cup that you have. But I do want to take this over to Cricut Design Space. What we're going to do now is go File and Save As, and you want to save this to your hard drive. Again, you can only do this if you have the Silhouette Business Edition. But again, I'll put that template down below for you guys. So you want to make sure that you change the Save As type to SVG. I've called it Leopard Wrap Cold Cup 143 so that I know where it came from, and I'm clicking OK. Once it's saved, we'll go over to Cricut Design Space. Once you've exported, you can head over to Cricut Design Space. And again, if you don't have the Silhouette Software Studio stuff, you can get the template down in the description below. But we're going to click Upload Image, then Browse, and then we're going to go to where we saved our image, which I saved it into my Starbucks folder, and we called it Leopard Wrap Cold Cup 143. Now, it might take a second to load because it is a lot of data for Cricut Design Space to handle. Cricut Design Space isn't always the best at handling a lot of data. So what we'll do now is click Upload, and once it uploads to our Cricut Design Space, you can select it under Recent Uploads and then click Insert Images. Now it is going to have the full wrap template behind it. I wanted to leave that with it in case you guys wanted to do a different pattern or something else, or like a full wrap with vinyl, but that way it's all just there for you so you can do whatever you want with it. So we're going to hide the red guy just by clicking on this little eyeball right next to it, because we need to resize our template. Cricut Design Space does not communicate really well with vector images. It's just something that it doesn't do. Drives me nuts, but it is what it is. So I kept my Silhouette Studio open so that we could resize this down to the correct size. So what you want to do is look at what size is listed for your template here. So we have 10.691 inches wide. So let's go over to Cricut Design Space and make sure everything's selected. And we're going to go 10.691 up here for the width. And then the height on here is 6.694. And I'm just going to double check, but it should be the same, 6.694. That's all we have to do. But again, it's just because Cricut does not communicate really well with vector images, which is what these are. Now we're ready to go ahead and cut this out. Now we are using a new product that I think will be new to a lot of you guys. So I want to show you over at 143vinyl.com, they have a great section for tons of documents. Right here where you see the little t-shirt and the cutter and the vinyl, click on that. That's their resource and reference documents. And right here where it says material, cut, and press settings, click on that. We're going to click here to download the file, and it's going to open up a PDF that has all of the different cut settings for all the products that 143 Vinyl sells. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to find the Style Tech Color Changing Vinyl. And this wants us to cut it on holographic iron-on. The material for Silhouette is right here as well, and then you also have the Brothers Scan and Cut settings. So it wants us to do holographic iron-on. That's fine, totally can do that, works for me. So we are going to go back over to Cricut, and I'm going to cut the outside of the spots in the light blue, the pale blue from StarCraft HD. I'm going to cut the inside of the spots on that sun purple, so I'm just going to change them purple so I remember what color to cut on where, and then I'll just change this to gray. I think it's going to look pretty cool. You know what, let's change it to light blue just so we can make sure we have the right colors. I think it's going to look really cool on that cold cup. You guys are going to get to see how neat it's going to look outside in the sun. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is just click Make It. And it's going to want to cut out our pale blue first. That just cuts on the regular vinyl setting. So we can go ahead and cut that out. Click Continue. Make sure your machine is on. You can cut this with both the Maker or the Explorer. This is too large for the Cricut Joy. So again, just set that to your regular vinyl setting. We're ready to cut the pale blue with our StarCraft HD. I'm so excited for this one. This is going to be a really neat cup. So what we'll do is go ahead and lay this down on our mat. Make sure you lay it down vinyl side up, and then I'm just going to make sure it's well pressed down. Now I do recommend when you're going to cut something that has a lot of small details like this, load our vinyl, and all we need to do now is just click the little Cricut logo and it'll cut out. Next we'll need to load the purple sun vinyl. So again, this one is thicker, so make sure we do change our settings. I'll show you guys how to change your settings after one mat. It's super easy. And again, we'll just make sure this is well pressed down. Just want to make sure that it stays on the mat nice and tight. And then we can go ahead and load this and get ready to cut. Now we're ready to cut the sun vinyl. So what we'll need to do is click where it says Base Material Set To. And I'm just going to click Browse All Materials, and I'm going to search just the word HOLO, so hollow. And it wants us to cut it on holographic iron-on. So we're just going to select that, click Done, and we can go load our machine. Now I do recommend doing a couple small test cuts on your machine to make sure that this cut setting works with your machine. You may need to do a few little test cuts up in the corners just to make sure that it's going to work great. I recommend cutting out a little square or the letter R. They're great options to make sure that everything's going to cut right. So let's go ahead and finish cutting. thing that we need to do is layer this. So what I'm going to do is use my UV light. This is super helpful to have for a couple different reasons, but especially on this, because as you can see, it's white background and it turns white when the UV isn't on it. So it makes it a little harder to layer. So I'm going to keep my UV light handy. That way it can shine on this and keep it colored. It's going to be a little bit easier to layer it that way. Now I'm going to slide this over real quick and turn my UV light off, because we're going to actually layer the blue on top of the purple. And we're going to use the parchment paper method to do this. So what I need to do is get some transfer tape, and I need to find the front of my roll here. There it is. And I use medium tack from 143vinyl.com. I'll link everything we're using down below. And don't forget, you can use code Corinne to save 5% on any of your orders with 143vinyl. So what I'm going to do is cut this off, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut pretty close to the vinyl here. It should be fine, no big deal. And whatever I don't use, I will roll back on to my roll and set that off to the side. Now make sure that you have your squeegee present, and I like to squeegee it from the back, so I like to burnish from the back. And I like to make sure everything is well stuck down, and then I'll flip it over and do it again from the front as well. Once you're pretty happy with your burnishing, go ahead and flip it back over, and I like to take mine off from the back. If you guys watch my videos, you know this is my favorite thing, is to take it off this way, because I find that it works a lot better. So we're just going to gently take this off. Now again, this is the StarCraft HD in matte, one of my favorite permanent vinyl products. It works so well, and you can see how well that cut all those little tiny marks. Now I know it's probably a little bit hard to see because of the reflection and the background here, but there's all your little spots. So now what I'll do is I'm going to pull this back over, and I'm going to go ahead and light it back up with our UV light. Again, I got this off Amazon. If I can find it again, I'll link it below. It's been pretty handy for this UV vinyl and for just a few other things, like using it on a UV resin and stuff too, if I'm just doing something small. This is a great little handy tool to have. So I'm just going to try to make sure that this is pretty well dark here. And once I'm pretty happy, that should be okay. We're going to put a piece of parchment paper on top of it, and I'm going to leave a little tail hanging out of the side. Now what I want to do is take my StarCraft, and I'm going to lay it on top of my parchment paper, leaving just a little tail on the outside, and then we're going to line it up. Now this part can be a little precarious because there are a lot of little pieces, so this is going to take a few minutes to get just right. And this leopard print, because of the way I drew it, doesn't line up perfectly because of the way I designed it, because leopard spots actually don't really line up perfectly. So keep that in mind. Now if it starts to get a little dim while you're working, just take your UV light and it'll work through the parchment paper as well, so you can just darken those up again. If you're having trouble seeing them, we'll just darken them up again. Once you're satisfied with where it's sitting, go ahead and press down the tail that you left on this end. Then you're going to take the parchment paper out. You're going to do this carefully. So what I do is I just, and occasionally it shifts a little bit, so you got to be careful, but just kind of fold this back and gently pull it out. And when we lay it back down, we'll need to be careful because it may have shifted a smidge, but it's okay. We'll gently lay it back down. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is burnish the two together. And I'll turn the UV light back on it so you guys can see what it looks like with the UV light. How fun is that? Now you can see kind of where the spots are. So I'm going to make sure it's well burnished down. I'm going to get our cold cup and show you guys how to apply this to the cup. Okay, I've got our cold cup. I'm going to go ahead and pop the lid off. I don't want that on there because it does kind of make it hard to lay the vinyl down. So what I'm going to do is flip this over, like always, and we're going to gently peel it off from the back. Now, it does look like it cut a little deep in a couple spots. That's okay. It happens. This vinyl's a little bit touchy sometimes. I have yet to find like the perfect setting on my machine, But if it cuts a little deep, that's okay. Just help it with your pin pen. This pin pen is multi-use. I use it for all sorts of things, including helping me if it cuts too deep. So if you have one that won't come off the vinyl, like right here, we've got one that's sort of stuck on the back, just help it off with your pin pen. So it happens, if it cuts too deep, you just need to gently help remove the spots as you go. So you're just going to want to go slow and take your time. No amount of burnishing will help that, honestly. You're just going to have to really pay attention as you're backing off and really be gentle with it. Now again, it's not going to have cut too deep in every spot, but we may have a couple of spots where we're going to have to be very gentle and careful. Okay, once you get your backing off, because again, that can be a little tedious, take your scissors and you want to cut really, really, really close to your vinyl. Obviously, don't cut your vinyl, but you want to cut very, 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 very close to it, both along the edges and also along the top. Now, my top is already pretty close, but I can definitely trim a little bit off. This is going to make it a lot easier to lay it down on your cup. So again, you want to get this as close as you can without cutting your vinyl, because this goes all the way to the top of our cup. And now this is where our little cup holder comes in. This is from Chipped Builds. I will link her Etsy shop down below. This is one of my favorite things I have in my craft room. I actually have 3 of them. I have 2 of the smaller ones and 1 of the big one, and I love them. So what we'll do, and I have pre-cleaned this with alcohol just so you're aware, but what we're gonna do is take our decal, our design, and we're going to lay it on our cup. That looks pretty even. And you're using kind of this bottom lip and this top lip as a guide to where this goes. Now you want to kind of press it down as you go, and this is why you needed to cut really close to the top, because you wanted to make sure that that top edge isn't going to get caught under the lip or on the lip. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold this over. You see how I'm kind of pressing as I'm going around the cup, because I'm going to need to peel this transfer tape back just a smidgen because we have the edge here. But what I like to do is work on one side. I'm going to go ahead and peel the transfer tape off here, and you can see I'm using my squeegee to press this section down, because we're not going to take all the transfer tape off. We're only going to take this bottom, this little side section off. And it's not always super easy to get it to stick, because this does take a little bit of finesse. And these cups are flexy, so you definitely want to keep that in mind when you're burnishing. They're going to flex a little bit. And getting your vinyl to stick sometimes to these can be a little bit of a task, because you can see this little piece doesn't want to stay down. That's okay. We'll just help it with our finger. It's okay. No big deal. A lot of people get really frustrated or think that something's wrong with your vinyl if it's not sticking. That's not the case. It's more so that the adhesive hasn't cured. These are kind of a rough surface, so it's a whole lot of different things that can really be a factor in the vinyl sticking. So if it's not sticking right away, it's mostly just you need to give it a second. So now that I folded this part back, which is totally what I wanted to do so that I could get this side down, we're going to come over, flip it. I hold my finger on this part of the transfer tape. I come over, I flip, and then I press down this side. That way your transfer tape and your vinyl don't stick to each other, because that would be bad. Now, because of the way this one is designed, this pattern, they're not going to match up perfectly on the edge here. I really could not figure out how to get it to do that. I tried and I just got frustrated. So if you really don't like that it's not matching up, cover it up. Use a name or a design or something like that if it really bothers you, but honestly, nobody's going to notice. So I can fold this piece of transfer tape back down. It's totally fine. Now what you want to do, I'm going to move this out of the way. I use that mostly just to hold it in place. What you want to do is go all around your cup and burnish all of your vinyl down, paying close attention to all of the pieces. So this is the part that's going to take a little bit longer. You can use your hands to help you. You just want to burnish it down. Just keep pressing, and you'll go all over your cup for this part. Once you've gone all over your cup, again, we're gonna roll our transfer tape off very, very gently. So as you can see, I have my transfer tape folded at a really sharp angle. Can you see how it's like flat against the cup? You wanna do that the whole way around your cup, paying close attention to anything that may have a little bit of lift. Can you see that it's lifting right here? Do you see the little lift right there? So if it's got a little lifting, just take your finger and help hold it back down. Again, this is to be expected. These rough cups can be a little tough to keep everything stuck down. That's why I have my vinyl my transfer tape at such a sharp angle, and I'm going very, very slowly. Can you see how slow I'm moving this? Very slowly, making sure all of our small pieces stay stuck down. Now, it's very important that you let this cure for at least 48 hours before use. So basically, just set it off to the side. It's important to keep in mind that you want to allow your vinyl to cure for at least 48 hours, if not at least 72. By curing, I just mean set it to the side and let it hang out. Now check out this cool UV change. So fun out in the sun. Love that those purple spots change color. And it's just a really fun cup. Now do keep in mind also that these are not dishwasher safe, so please hand wash only. And do not use hot liquids. You'll want to use cold liquids. I'm using ice water here and my ice went everywhere. But this cup is so fun. It turns from a light blue to a dark blue, as you can see, and with those color changing spots, it's a really cool cup. Kids are gonna love this, adults are gonna love this, and it's just a lot of fun. If you guys have any questions about this or anything else, please let me know in those comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and be part of my crafty family here on YouTube. It would mean the world to me to have you guys here. Have a wonderful day and happy crafting!